Wes Stampley here with JWS Repair Service again. Remember, if you find this video helpful in any way, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and tap that notification button for more content as soon as we post it. Now today, I've had a lot of people asking me, yes, we grind our own meat. How do we do that? And this is kind of a little bit of an instruction of where we get the cuts, how we grind it, and package it, weigh it, all that. This just give you an idea of how we do it, so you can do this to save yourself some money at home, to eat better, provide better food for you and your family, and you know how it was handled. So first off, we've got, I get these at our local Walmart when they have them. This is a boneless chuck roast, and you can see here it's almost 11 pounds, 10.84 pounds, $3.98 a pound. Now, that's a big chunk of meat. Now, but when you go to open this, it's vacuum packaged, so you're going to want to have this in the sink. Now, I've already sterilized this sink, so everything's clean. But you're going to want to poke this package, get this out. It's going to have a lot of blood in it. It's going to want to go everywhere. It's a big hunk of meat to try to hang on to. So, having it in here helps a lot, so that you can control where all that's going, so you don't have to worry about cross-contamination and things like that. Now I'm just going to kind of open it up. Now, as far as cuts of meat go, this is kind of an ugly cut of meat. I mean, it's got a lot of fat in it. It doesn't have a lot of marbling, so it's going to be, it wouldn't really be good for making steaks or things like that, but for hamburger meat, cut some meat up for stew, something like that, this works great. But for what we're going to do now is we're going to just kind of break it down to see what we have to work with. And you're going to see some huge pieces of fat in there. And I know your first tendency is going to be to cut all that fat out and make it really, really lean. Well, you can do that, but if you do that and remove all of that, you're going to come out with ground meat that has no fat in it at all. It's not going to have any flavor. It's going to be really, really tough. So what we're going to do now is just break it down. You do need to have a really sharp knife to be able to handle this stuff. You can see I'm just kind of slicing through this like so, just kind of breaking it down. This meat is really, really cold. It's not frozen, obviously, but it's really, really cold. So make sure it's cold when you go to handle it. It cuts down on the blood, and it also makes a better grind than if you're trying to grind it when it's warm. Now, this is kind of what we end up with at first. Now, some of this right here is really, really lean, but it's got some marbling to it, and the marbling is the fat that you see within the meat itself. So we're going to cut this part off, and I'm going to save that and cut it into little chunks to use for maybe some beef stroganoff or stew meat or something like that. Here's the other part of it. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off as well. And that's going to go to the side for something else. Now, the rest of this that we got, this can actually all be made into ground meat. And believe me, it's when we finish the product at the end, you're going to see it's going to look a lot like what you're getting at the grocery store, pre-packaged, but it's going to be actually better because it's fresh. You know how you handled it. And alright, we're back. Basically all I did was move that that meat that I was going to save to make some stew meat with. And we're going to go ahead and break this down into pieces that'll fit in the grinder. Now, what you can do, and what I would recommend, is to go ahead and cut the fat off, but don't throw it away. You're just going to kind of want to keep it separate. We want this a bit smaller, because what you're going to do is, as you're grinding, you're going to want to blend that the lean with the fat, so that you come out with a balanced mix at the end. So I'm just going to cut some of this up. Actually, I'm going to cut it all up, but I'm going to cut the fat off of it. I'll leave that on. And just basically cut this into smaller pieces so it'll fit through the grinder easier. And it's a lot quicker than if you get the the grinder caught up. And yes, you can just cut through all of this. This is fascia, which is just a connective tissue. It's technically, I guess it's not fat, but it's not meat either. But you can grind everything in here you see up. And if you think, ooh, that's gross, I don't think I want that in my ground meat, believe me, if you're buying ground meat at the store, you're getting that, and you're getting that and more. So at least this way you know what it was. But it's just a connective tissue. It's not gonna bother you at all. So we'll go ahead and slice through this. As you can see here, this is kind of what I'm talking about, how it's got a long grain to it. It's almost like a brisket where it's real grainy, but there's like no fat in this whatsoever. So if you didn't mix some fat with that, this would make really tough, no flavored ground meat. So that's what we're saving that fat for. We're gonna have to blend those together. We get another hunk of it. You can see this is a tremendous amount of meat, and I cut a good portion off to use for something else, but we're going to basically make most of this into just regular ground meat, which is of course a multi-purpose. You can make so many different things with it. It's just very versatile in the kitchen, and it's nutritious. It's you know, it's good for you. So we're just going to, well, the way that's kind of made in there, I'm just going to cut across that because that's probably going to blend pretty well. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting this in a bowl next to me, and when we get it all cut up, we'll go to the grinder. So after I get this cut up, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. And we're now ready to, the meat is cut up and prepared. Now we're going to go ahead and put the grinder together, and we'll show you how that works. Now this is a KitchenAid mixer, so not kidding, this was kind of expensive getting it, but it'll save you some money in the long run, and they've since started selling these at Walmart. A few other outlets, they're like half the price they used to be. So right now we're going to put our grinder together. This is a full stainless grinder that I got. It's G-Vode is the brand, G-V-O-D-E. I got this on Amazon. It's about 80 bucks, but it's all stainless, so I really like that part of it because I feel like I can really get that good and clean. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take the housing, you put the impeller in it. You're going to take the blade. Now the blade goes on that square and it goes facing up. And you're going to put your grinding disc on it. Now this is what controls the size of the meat that comes out. This is not the smallest one, this is like a medium. I prefer to use this one because it's going to be closer to what you'd expect to get at the store. And then just tighten the cap up. Now you've got your grinder assembled. That goes into the KitchenAid, and we're going to tighten up the screw, and now it's ready. And we'll put our tray on it for our meat. We'll go ahead and turn it on, and I just run it on a 4. It seems to be a good setting for it. Here's our stainless bowl that will catch the meat in, and here's our meat. And I'm going to get on this side so you can see it feeding and see it coming out. So like I said, we're going to want to mix the lean with the fat. We're pretty much going to grind everything here that you see, or we are going to grind everything here that you see. And even if you mess up, you get a little bit too much fat all at once, you get a little bit too much of the lean all at once, don't worry about it. You can mix it up in the bowl before you weigh it and bag it, so that works pretty good. You can use my little stick here to push that through. You see it goes through pretty easy. You don't have to force it through. I mean, I could just let that sit there like that and it would go through. I'm going to give it a little help just for time savings, but don't just try to like force it to go through there. Where did I drop that? Oh, there it is. I thought I dropped it on the floor. And then you're just going to grind away until you get all of your meat ground up. And that works just like that, as you can see in the bowl. Excuse me while I cough. You can see in the bowl we've already got quite a bit. It's pretty fast. And it sometimes makes funny noises. That was not me. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Alright. So that's what we'll do, and when we come back, I'll show you how to weigh it and bag it. I'm back. We've got all of our meat ground now. You can see we ended up with quite a bit there. So, this is Carolyn. Hi. She is my weigher and bagger, and then I flatten this stuff out to get it ready for the freezer. So we've got our freezer Ziplocs, or some other brand of snappable freezer bag that you may want to use. Anyway, I use Ziploc. A marker to put the date on there, the scale so that she can weigh it out in 1 pound bags. So we'll go ahead and let her get started, get her scale set up. There's a bag. Now what she's doing right here is setting, I don't think we saw that. She set the tare, or the 0 on the scale. She's going to put the bag on the scale and then hit it to 0, and that sets it so that it's not weighing the weight of the bag. We only want the weight of the meat in the bag. So since we don't reset for every bag because we figure they're probably pretty dang close at the plant, I don't think they would go bonkers and where one weighs a whole bunch more than the other. We roll the edges over like that so that we don't get meat on the sealing surface of the bag when we're doing it. So we kind of roll it over like that. It's all about safe handling and good food. So we'll kind of do that. And she's going to go, you want me to take some more of these bags for you? There's a bag. You can go ahead and start weighing one out. There you go. And I'll take these. Almost did it for the future. Whoops. Dropped it. Now I've seen some videos or some posts on Facebook talking about how to flatten your meat and whatever and put it in the freezer and it keeps. I've been doing that for probably 30 years. Yeah, actually probably about 30 years. This is the way I've always done it, and but now they post it on Facebook like it's something new. But anyway, what you want to do, once you get the bag filled, and she's putting 1 pound in it, you're just going to want to mash it down and try to cover every spot of it so that you don't have any air in the bag, because air in the bag is what causes freezer burn. If you get all of the air out, not only will it not freezer burn, but when it's nice and flat like that, it stacks so well in your freezer. You can just put it in there like that. Boom. Do the next one. We kind of got an assembly line going. This is the way we do it. Been doing it this way for, well, a long time. But it's just a matter of mashing it over and filling the bag and trying to get all of the air you possibly can out of the bag. So after we get the bags filled, we'll be back to show you what we ended up with. Okay, we're back and we're finished with our bagging. You'll see we have 8 pounds. One of them was a little bit over, it was about an ounce over, so about like 17 ounces, but not a big deal. But that's what we got from an almost 11-pound roast, so that means the rest of it I've got in there cut up for stew meat. So nothing went to waste. If you see, this Doesn't really look any different than what you'd get at the grocery store. And this was $3.48 a pound, I believe. And there's the rest that we have cut up for the stew meat. So that's what came from a $43 roast. That would cost you probably close to $100 at the grocery store if you went and bought all that yourself. So anyway, was glad that you watched the video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell for more videos. And enjoy your money saving tip. Thanks a lot. Bye.